Don't Suffer from Depression in Silence by Nikki Allen. What are you doing on this stage in front of all these people? Run. Run now. That's the voice of my anxiety talking. Even when there's absolutely nothing wrong, I sometimes get this overwhelming sense of doom. Like danger is lurking just around the corner. You see, a few years ago, I was diagnosed with generalized anxiety and depression, two conditions that often go hand in hand. Now, there was a time I wouldn't tell anybody, especially in the big audience. As a black woman, I've had to develop extraordinary resilience to succeed. And like most people in my community, I had this misconception that depression was a sign of weakness, a character flaw. But I wasn't weak. I was a high achiever. I'd earned a master's degree in media studies and had a string high-profile job in television in the film industries. I'd even won 2 Emmy Awards for my hard work. Sure, I was totally spent. I lacked interest in things I used to enjoy, barely ate, struggled with insomnia, and felt isolated and depleted. But depressed? No, not me. It took weeks before I could admit it, but the doctor was right. I was depressed. Still, I didn't tell anybody about my diagnosis. I was too ashamed. I didn't think I had the right to be depressed. I had a privileged life with a loving family and a successful career. And when I thought about unspeakable horrors that my ancestors had been through in this country, so that I could have it better, my shame grew even deeper. I was standing on their shoulder. How could I let them down? I will hold my head up, put a smile on my face, and never tell a soul. On July 4, 2013, my world came crashing on me. That was the day I got a phone call from my mom, telling me that my 22-year-old nephew Paul has ended his life after years battling depression and anxiety. There are no words that can describe the devastation I felt. Paul and I were very close, and I had no ideas in so much pain. Neither one of us had ever talked to the others about our struggles. The shame and stigma kept us both silent. Now my way of dealing adversity is to face it head on. So I spent the next 2 years researching depression and anxiety. And what I found was mind-blowing. The World Health Organization reports that depression was a leading cause of sickness and disability in the world, while the exact cause of depression isn't clear. Research suggests that most mental disorders develop at least in part of a chemical imbalance in the brain and or underlying genetic predisposition, so you can't just shake it up. For Black Americans, stressors like racism and socioeconomic disparities put them at a 20% greater risk of developing mental disorder. Yet, they seek mental health at about half the rate of white Americans. One reason is a stigma, with 63% of Black Americans mistaking depression for a weakness. Sadly, the suicide rate among Black children has doubled in the past 20 years. Now here's the good news. 70% of people struggling with depression will improve with therapy, treatment, and medication. Armed with this information, I made a solution. I wasn't going to be silent anymore. With my family's blessing, I would share our hopes in sparking a national conversation. A friend, Kelly Pierre Louis, said, "Being strong is killing us." She's right. We have got to retire those tired old narrative of the strong Black woman and the super masculine Black man, who no matter how many times they get knocked down, just shake it up and shoulder on. Having feelings isn't a sign of weakness. Feelings mean you're human, and when we deny our humanity, it leaves us feeling empty inside, searching for new ways to self-medicate in order to fill the void. My drug was high achievement. These days, I share my story openly, and I ask others to share theirs too. I believe that what it takes to help people who may be suffering in silence, to know that they are not alone, and to know that with help, they can heal. Now, I still have my struggles, particularly with anxiety, but I'm able to manage it through daily medication, yoga, and a relatively healthy diet. If I feel like things are starting to spiral, I make an appointment to see my therapist. A dynamic Black woman named Dawn Armstrong was a great sense of humor and a familiarity that I find comforting. I will always regret that I couldn't be there for my nephew. But my sincerest hope is that I can inspire others with a lesson that I've learned. Life is beautiful. Sometimes it's messy, and it's always unpredictable. But it will all be okay when you have your support system to help you through it. I hope that if your burden gets too heavy, you'll ask for a hand too. Thank you.